to delay ourselves about 45 minutes or so, but we're ready to go in Oxford. As Bucceño deals today's first pitch to Kinsey Fiedler. And it's in there called strike. We're off and running for game one of our three-game set between number 1 Tennessee and number 20 Ole Miss. Thanks for being with us tonight. Fiedler hitting .379 this season in that leadoff spot for Tennessee. She's from Lee's Summit, Missouri. Began her career at Washington. She's a member of the Pac-12 All-Freshman team in her first year of college softball. This is year 4 for her. Pitch from Bucceño. And they're called strike from Jill Poole behind home plate. Emerus Addison's our first base umpire today. Matt Dial is at third. How critical will it be today, Carly, for Bucceño to throw those first pitch strikes? We were talking a little bit about that earlier today.
Extremely important. I think it's going to be important for her to get ahead of the count because these Tennessee hitters, they're aggressive. They get on and they move around pretty easily.
Dude, especially Fiedler. 50 hits this season for Fiedler. The first time in her career she's had 50 hits or more.
You know, and it's interesting watching a lefty, start, and she really does utilize every part of her skill by swinging away and not slapping.
Swings away there, but right at Taylor Malvin, the center fielder for Ole Miss, who makes the catch. One away for Tennessee to begin. Then you have a freshman like Miley Bucceño right now tying her shoe in the circle. Leads Ole Miss in strikeouts this season with 159. Third in the SEC, that's 20th as well across the country, just as a freshman. Most strikeouts, too, by a Rebel pitcher since 2019. It surpassed Molly Jacobson's 100. I should say she's chasing Molly Jacobson's 166 here tonight. You didn't have over 150 strikeouts when you were a freshman, right, in your career?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Here's Panel. Without a doubt, Tennessee's most dangerous hitter. Hitting .443 coming into today. In her third season at Tennessee, she got hurt her first year. A roller, first base side and through, a base hit. Boy, she can really hit it hard. That wasn't her hardest hit ball today, but it goes down as a hard hit.
Right, it does. It does.
Panel's on first base with their 59th hit this year.
It looks like she thought maybe that ball was coming inside, and it kind of caught her at the very end of the barrel. And with your defense back.
Panel's on first base. She is a threat to run. She's 9 for 10 in stolen base attempts this season. As McKenna Gibson steps up, takes a 1-0 count to start. In year 4 at Tennessee, two-time All-SEC first-teamer in the last 2 seasons. Also, Bucceño, earlier today actually, NFCA listed her as National Freshman of the Year on their top 25 list. Fly ball to the right side. Claire Boutte, the former Lady Volunteer, makes the catch. 2 away for Tennessee in this first inning.
If Bucceño can keep her off speed like that, I think that she'll be okay today.
What is so special about her off-speed pitch? Everyone's been telling us, you got to watch this off-speed. You got to see her change it. What is it that makes it so special?
I think there's a lot of spin on it, and I don't think that as hitters you can tell by the way that she moves, or a lot of times you'll see whether or not, if you expect to see a slowdown, or you expect to see a kind of a stopping movement in the arm and not finish through or follow through on the pitch. And she does a really good job at hiding that.
Yeah. Sophia Nugent at the plate.
A menace at the plate.
A menace?
A menace at the plate, both offensive and defensively.
How so?
Look at her. I mean, she's takes control of the game. You know, I mean, she's through and through a catcher. You can tell something's happening here, though.
Yeah, walks over towards her dugout. Having a conversation with one of her new assistant coaches, Craig Snyder. And maybe just wanted to get a little piece of advice.
Either that or she had to have seen something. She's picking up on something, maybe. I mean, and you know, she is a catcher, so if anyone's going to be able to pick up on anything that the pitcher is doing, it's going to be her. And talk about one that really utilizes the lower half here. Her bottom frame is a powerhouse for her.
It needs to be as a catcher too, right? I mean, you're crouching a lot.
Absolutely.
She does have 11 homers this year too, 45 RBIs. That lower frame is where all that power comes in as a hitter.
Absolutely. I mean, she's in the back of the box.
Swings and misses at 67 miles an hour from Wacheno.
She's got a little pop today.
Well, the #1 team in the nation's in town. Runner on first for Tennessee. Up and in, 3-2.
Why not come back with the same pitch?
Nugent hitting 4th for the Lady Vols tonight. Payoff pitch. And we'll do it again. Wacheno's looking for a bounce back start too. At Georgia last Friday night, she only lasted an inning and 2/3. Allowed 7 runs, 6 of them earned, and Ole Miss wound up winning that game 20-11. Sounds like a SEC football game, if anything. Nugent stays alive.
And there you see Wacheno with the same pitch, just hammering the inside hands there, trying to get a pop-up. Not giving her anything she can lift.
Obviously, with 11 homers this year, you don't want her to lift much, do you?
No, you don't.
8th pitch of the at-bat, to Nugent from Wacheno, the freshman. Payoff is pulled foul. What does that pitch tell you? Or I should say, what does that foul ball tell you as a pitcher?
She's making adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of adjustments. Which could have been part of that conversation she may have just had with her new assistant coach.
She is a senior, began her career at Oklahoma, Nugent. And year 2 for her at Tennessee.
She's just got a beautiful swing.
Pops her up. Who's got it? And it's De Leon, the shortstop, who makes the catch. Tennessee strands one. No
swinging at anything you don't want with feet back in the box.
Jane Pone on a 11-game hit streak, swings at the first pitch and lobs it over to the second baseman, Dodge. And Pone led it off for Ole Miss. Claire Boutte, the former Lady Vol, coming up to bat now for Ole Miss. And haven't talked about Lexi Brady yet. First 6 games, she's 0 for 11 since she has 15 homers. 45 RBIs, those 15 homers, is tied for most in a single season in Ole Miss history. And Boutte, facing her former teammate in Pickens, takes inside.
You have to question what's going on inside both of their heads.
Especially as former teammates.
What she's seen before and what she hasn't seen. What growth is there. You imagine that, you know, Carlin Pickens has gotten better over the few years.
2-0 to Boutte. 2-1. Boutte was with Tennessee for the 2022 and 2023 seasons. Did miss a little bit of time due to injury not too long ago. In fact, Boutte crashed into the right field sidewall in the Florida series, missed some time. Came back in the Georgia series last weekend. A career .312 hitter. And chops it to first, and it's foul, according to Jill Poole, our home plate umpire.
At least there's still smiles.
Yeah, Larry Boutte said earlier, there's no animosity, obviously, with the transfer portal. You just never know the situation. It was a clean break.
No hard feelings.
She's still friends with a lot of the players in Summit Blue tonight. Chopper to first, almost a weird hop for Gibson. She steps on first base. But Boutte went to the Women's College World Series with Tennessee. Talked about her positive experience in Knoxville. Here's the defense for Tennessee. Savia Morgan, Kinsey Fiedler, Alana Leach, Laura Mealer, Ella Dodge up the middle, McKenna Gibson, Taylor Panel in the corners. And Nugent, the catcher today. And Nugent chases after the foul ball above home plate, but it gets out of play. 0-1 to Aaliyah Binford, the Baylor transfer in year one at Ole Miss. Binford is in her 6th season of softball. Spent 5 years in Waco. Having a great season for Ole Miss. Checked at it, and Binford went around. 0-2 with 2 down. Boy, Carlin Pickens looks the part tonight. Say she went. I think her face knows she went too. High heater, strike 3. Pickens sees the minimum. Through 1 in Oxford. No score between number 1 Tennessee and number 20 Ole Miss.
Absolutely. You talk about, her pitching staff and how well that she staffed this team as a whole, offensively and defensively. Karen said multiple times throughout the season that this is probably one of the strongest teams that I think that she's ever, had the privilege of being able to coach.
Gabby Leach leads off this second inning for the Lady Vols. And the count's even, 1-1. There's Coach Weekly. 8 Women's College World Series appearances, 13 Supers. Over 1,300 career wins in 24, this is year 24 for her at Tennessee. Over 1,100 wins at Tennessee. A joy to talk to earlier today. Coming off that loss, the midweek loss against number 19 Clemson in 9 innings, 4-3 in favor of the Clemson Tigers on Tuesday.
Makes for a long midweek game traveling to Oxford this weekend.
That was called a strike, 2-2. And you think the Lady Vols would be super hungry, right? Coming off a midweek loss like that?
Absolutely. You think you come into town, regardless of the rain delay, I know that kind of throws a pinch and everything, but I think the girls absolutely come out today ready to hit. And selective at bats. I think that's going to be important for UT. Karen Weekly over there telling them to lay off of the off speed, trying to pick up what you can off of the pitcher, if anything at all.
Three-two to Leach. She works the walk. First one today for Miley Wichenio. Her 58th two on the season. She struggled with that command at times, Carly, but when you're a freshman, that is something that comes along as you grow older.
Yes, with experience. I think you get put in tough positions, tough situations, in games that truthfully come down to whether or not you beat yourself. A lot of times, good hitters are they're gonna hit good pitches. That's part of the game. You at least expect to come out of a game series playing against girls that make you better.
So go ahead.
You're okay. I think calming down here, though, just like now, having the catcher go out there too and kind of talk to the girls, tell everybody to slow down. They've had a runner on first now for 2 innings.
Yeah. Zoe Schuler pinch running at first base, number 11 for Tennessee. That brings up Ella Dodge in her first at bat tonight. You talked about free passes, and let's go back to that Tennessee loss to Clemson. Because of the free passes, that really allowed Clemson to strike, not strike first, strike second, and take the lead.
It's the hardest thing to do, as a pitcher, especially because that falls on your shoulders. When you give somebody a base, you're not leaving much room for anybody to help you out because it really is only you to answer.
Ella Dodge showing bunt. Hitting .225 coming into today.
With an impressive on-base percentage.
And Wachenio calls time. Runner goes, slapped on the ground and past Lansdell into left. Hustling her way to third base is Schuler. Tennessee has runners on the corners here in the second. A little hit and run does him a favor. That brings up Laura Mealer. And Jamie Traxel is out having a chat with Jill Poole, and now has a chat with Matt Dial, third base ump, and is our crew chief today. See what the challenge is.
The ruling on the field is that the runner left on time at first base prior to the release of the pitch. Ole Miss is challenging that the runner left early at first base. This play is under further review.
All right, so our video review center will take a look at this. They are looking to see if Schuler left first base early on that hit and run. But this is a big situation for Tennessee because right now they have runners on the corners, and you're just looking to see if Schuler left before or after Wachenio lets the ball go.
If she left before.
Yes. We got a pretty good look at it there from our Hawkeye video review system. Both teams start out the ball game with 2 challenges. If their challenge is correct, they keep that challenge. It looked like Schuler might have left early.
I think she may have. I think everybody needs to slow down.
Yeah?
Slow it down.
Sometimes though that's harder than it looks, right?
Absolutely. There's so much anticipation right now. And like you said, there's not animosity, but there's a lot of combustion surrounding this series here in Oxford this weekend, I think, for both teams.
The crowd getting a look at it in venue, and they are agreeing with Jamie Traxel. Looks like Matt Dial has his call.
After further review, it's been determined that the runner left early. Therefore, the runner's out. Now he will come back to the box with a 2-ball count.
So now Ella Dodge has to come back to the plate. Schuler is retired. And that's a bit of an early momentum killer if you're Tennessee, right? You get that free pass and the pinch runner winds up leaving early.
That has to hurt, especially with, I mean, I know that Karen Weekly has talked about not leaving base runners on. And right now I think that they're struggling to do that pretty heavily within the first 2 innings here.
So that brings Dodge back to the plate with a 2-0 count. And fouls it off down the first base side. And these are the little things, too, that Karen Weekly talked about after that Clemson loss, because in the 5th inning when Clemson scored 3 runs to take a 3-1 lead, that inning started with a hit-by-pitch single and a walk to load the bases. Then an error by Carlin Pickens scored 3 runs.
And you would assume that coming out today, they don't want to do anything close to how that game landed. Something Dodge will do is she will lay a sneak here.
Might as well catch the defense off guard, right?
Absolutely.
But you hate that as a pitcher, though, don't you?
Yes. At that point, you're looking to both your left and your right, and they're both behind you.
So 1 away for Tennessee. A roller to Pickens. So what was runners on the corners and nobody out is now 2 outs, nobody on.
You also have to question, Coach Jamie, too, and knowing when to make the right challenges. Which ones will matter and which ones don't. Right now, if she doesn't challenge that, you're in a position now where you technically could possibly have a runner on second and third with runners still in scoring position and 2 outs, which is something that Karen Weekly has talked about. She wants to see more production from her team with 2 outs or more.
Yeah, and Tennessee would love to see that 2-out production here with Laura Mealer. First at bat tonight, hitting over 300 this season. And a called strike.
We were talking earlier about hitters not looking to lift anything. This one's not, but you talk about getting on base. This girl finds a way to get on.
Obviously.
She's selective. She swings early, but she is very, very selective, and she gets on quite a bit.
You don't hit 310 unless you're selective and picky and able to put the ball in play. Down on the count, though, 1-2 to Miley Wichenio. Again, struggled last Friday night against Georgia, allowed 6 earned runs in an inning and 2/3.
Doesn't seem to have shaken her much, though.
Misses high and in. Crowd wanted it. She also struggled a couple of Fridays ago, too, against Florida. Allowed 7 earned runs and 2 1/3 innings of work. So looking for just a solid Friday night outing. Trying to get back on track. She's been so good this year. 2-2's up and in. Look to be the exact same spot. So it's 3-2. This is the cat and mouse game that you love as a pitcher, right? Or I should say, the analyst that was once a pitcher.
The struggle here to try to really settle into the strike zone, I mean, the hard part is that she's getting that ball called, and then she's not.
Was on the corners and nobody out is now 3 up, 3 down for Tennessee. Nobody out is now 3 up, 3 down for Tennessee. For a resume builder against #1 Tennessee this weekend on the Tennessee side of things. Right now, 4th in the SEC, game and a half back out of first place. Right now, if the SEC tournament started today, they would get a double bye. Ouch, that hurts. Percy Yamas takes the HBP. And we know that Carlin Pickens throws heat. And that's one of those situations where you're glad, Carly, that you're wearing the elbow guard.
Absolutely. Those are relatively new. I mean, we had them a lot. A few of the girls had them, back when I played, but it just goes to show, how much the sport has grown, how much better the girls and the players have gotten, and how much more tougher the sport has gotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, with the face masks with pitchers, majority of the time, you don't see a lot that don't wear them.
That brings up Lexi Brady, Ole Miss's most powerful hitter. Has 15 homers this season. It's tied for the most in a single season at Ole Miss. This is also how that 5th inning started for Clemson earlier this week when Pickens hit the first batter, allowed a single, and then a walk to load the bases up. And then an error by Pickens led to 3 Clemson runs. Eventually Tennessee bounced back. They went to extras, then Clemson won in 9 innings on Tuesday. Karen Weekly said, too, it wasn't Pickens' best start. She just looked off today, missed some of that fire that you normally see.
There was a phenomenal off-speed pitch there.
More on Lexi Brady. She's 4th all-time in Ole Miss history with 32 homers, 8th with over 100 career RBIs. And Brady launches this down the line, over the pole. It's foul. Jill Poole, the home plate umpire, said it was foul. Oh, so close to number 16 on the season and a new record at Ole Miss. Man. And Brady doing the Carlton Fisk. Stay fair, stay fair. 3-2.
You know, for those Rebel hitters, it's crucial for their at-bats, you know, that they get the barrel of the ball or the barrel of their bat to her ball. Truthfully, she's going to provide majority of the speed. All you have to do is make connection.
Carlin Pickens in SEC play has only allowed 2 home runs.
You could tell in her face she thought that might have just been the third.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Ball 4. 2 on for Ole Miss without a hit.
A hit by pitch and a walk.
And Ole Miss did put the bat on the ball back in the first inning. A bloop out, grounder to first, then a strikeout by Pickens. And Pickens is going to get a circle visit here from Megan Rhodes Smith. What's this conversation about, you think?
Temperature check.
Yeah.
Figuring out where she's at, what's working, what isn't working, what's different, you know. Calling a timeout this early in the game. I mean, right now you're just trying to shift the narrative here too, kind of slow Ole Miss down with runners on first and second and no outs.
Yeah, Megan Rhodes Smith knows what she's doing. Year 5 at Tennessee, former Lady Vol too. Also, Tennessee pitchers since she got there, 8 no-hitters, 4 perfect games. That's 8 more no-hitters and 4 more perfect games than a lot of other programs can say since 2021. Pickens has been in that position before as well. Leads the SEC in ERA, and 3rd in the country in ERA too. Her ERA is .95. And Mackenzie Pickens just saw 73 miles an hour. How do you adjust to 73 as a hitter? As Star Ferguson comes in to pinch run for Ole Miss.
I think you make adjustments in the box. You know, you'll watch that hitters will move their feet into the back of the box there in hopes that
Mueller couldn't glove it. The throw home's not in time. Ferguson scores and Ole Miss leads. Not the way Ole Miss drew up the first run today.
and it's not always has to be the hardest hit. I mean, right there was situational hitting. You know, you had your third baseman up, and it took that hop right after, you know, a slight rain here that might also be part of a factor here in how the ball is bouncing off of the ground. We were talking about some slower rollers here, which I think could help. Pickens looking a little stressed.
And up steps Ashton Lansdell, who's homered in her last 4 games. Infield in for Tennessee with runners on second and third.
Ole Miss hitters are making a really good adjustment right now and laying off of her rise ball, which is one of her go-to pitches.
And so is that one, right?
Yes.
The wicked stuff.
The wicked stuff. There you go. You know, she'll also throw not just an off speed, but she'll throw a drop ball too. So she really will utilize the entire frame. Which is hard to see. You know, you see something coming at you 77 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden here comes something that's, you know, 53 or 54.
Now 3-1. This inning started with a hit by pitch and a walk. And Mackenzie Pickens given the RBI single to the left side to put Ole Miss on top 1-0. Fouled off by Lansdell at 72.
Not throwing as fast as I think she usually does. But you start to see that later in the year, you know. The more games you throw, the wear and tear on everything, you know you're in the hardest season here.
Lansdell fouls it off behind home plate. You mean 422 innings and 2/3 will do that to you? There's some fatigue there?
There's nothing. It's nothing, you know. It's just a day, just another day in the ballpark, right?
Yeah, I mean, Pickens, too, on her way to become a 2-time All-American at this point. Consensus first-team All-American last year. Reigning SEC Pitcher of the Year, the second Lady Vol to do that in program history. In some trouble here, though, in the second. As Lansdell looks at strike 3. Pickens needed that. Second strikeout today.
You know, you like to see from Pickens that she makes this adjustment here, especially having given the same situation, you know, during their midweek game that cost him the game.
De Leon shows bunt. Brady comes home. Side flip to the plate's not in time. Jamie Traxel calls for small ball. And Ole Miss leads 2-0.
We talked about that earlier on in the game, making smart choices, small decisions. Simple ball was going to play a large factor in whether or not the Rebels showed up to play today.
Is it because that young woman that you're seeing on your screen is so good at what she does?
I definitely think it's part of the approach you take when making adjustments and facing her, absolutely.
Taylor Malvin with a hefty swing. Angelina De Leon, too, with now 16 RBIs this year. It's Taylor Malvin having the best year of her career, most productive year, too. She's down quick, 0-2. This inning began. Pickens hit Percy Yamas and walked Lexi Brady after a lengthy near 10-pitch at bat. As Malvin stays alive. And Mackenzie Pickens gets the RBI single, and then Angelina De Leon causes some chaos.
I think you're seeing it from both teams. You know, they're both working the pitchers. We're talking about, you know, how many pitches each at-bat has seen. I think they've seen pitchers anticipated.
De Leon takes second base. Pickens stays at third. And it's 1-2 to Taylor Malvin.
And you don't need anything big here.
Chopper to short. Tennessee goes to first for out number 2. Pickens comes home. 3-run inning for Ole Miss. 2 of those runs scoring on free passes, or reach base because of free passes.
It's hard. It's hard to return from something like that, especially this early in the game. You know, you imagine that Pickens is probably going through a couple of different things in her own head right now.
Top of the order at the plate, and Jaden Pone. Swung at the first pitch from Carlin Pickens and blooped out to second base. Leads Ole Miss with a .402 batting average coming into tonight.
Struggles to find the strike zone here.
Yeah, not as sharp as she was in that first inning.
No, she wasn't. It looks a little, something just looks a little off. You know, I know the sun has finally kind of gone down. It's a little cooler out. Maybe she's having a hard time seeing.
Pickens waved at that, 0-2. Rain delay 2, maybe got her a little out of her routine that she normally does before she pitches. 45-minute rain delay here in Oxford. She gets Jaden Pone, strike 3. And that ends the inning. Ole Miss scratches 3 runs across thanks to 1 hit and a couple free passes too by Carlin Pickens. Now doing the sumo walk.
I wonder if there's other colors.
Oh, I bet there's a pack somewhere. Amazon's got everything. You don't order just one thing on Amazon, you order 5 to 10. Well, we begin this third inning with Ole Miss on top of Tennessee 3-0. Alana Leach at the plate. Fouls it off, 0-2 to start. Gotten at bat against Clemson earlier this week. This is game number 30 for Leach. Twin sister Gabby is also in the lineup today. She walked the second inning. A long lineage of Leaches at Tennessee. It actually sounds bad to say. A long lineage of Leaches. I didn't mean that.
You know, but sometimes you do. I mean,
No,
not a bad leech to have, you know?
Didn't, you know, that's an unfortunate play on words there. But their 2 older sisters also played at Tennessee. Bouncer to third, Ashton Lansdell. Retires Alana Leach for out number 1. Getting our first look, too, at Ashton Lansdell at third. She's played center field for Ole Miss all this season, and Jamie Traxel giving her the nod at third base. She did play some third base at FIU before she come into Ole Miss, but that hot corner position is pretty tough to play.
It is. You find it interesting, that you'd shake that up this late in the season right now, but I think, you give opportunity where it's due.
Savia Morgan hitting 9th for Tennessee. Her first at bat tonight. Getting 328 coming into the season as a into tonight. As a freshman in this league, seeing high-level pitching, it's amazing.
Hitting 328, and I want to say I think she might be one of the only slappers on their team. Majority of their lefties will swing.
One and one. She's from Columbia, Tennessee. Graduated from Columbia Central High School. She's also hitting 283 against the SEC this year. That's third highest on the Lady Vols roster.
It just begs the question, the lineup is tough 1 through 9. It doesn't matter where you start or where you end. 7 is just as good as 2, 4, 5, and clean up.
Uchenyo, Ole Miss's freshman pitcher, deals the 1-2. You're a pitcher, you wore the Ole Miss uniform. What's it like pitching with the lead, especially against a team that's the #1 ranked team in the country?
Now you make it easy. Now it's kind of smooth sailing. At least, you've got that your offense helps you out, put some scores on the board. Now you just go out there and you do D.
Morgan fouls it off, 2-2. And again, Uchenyo looking for a bounce-back outing. Struggled her previous 2 Friday outings against Florida and Georgia.
Understandable, both very strong teams.
A bloop, left side, and Malvin, the center fielder, ranges over to make the catch. 2 outs for the Lady Vols in this third inning, and we're back to the top of the order. Kinsey Fiedler, 0 for 1 today, steps up. Again, this is a series, too, that Tennessee has just dominated it. Tennessee leads the all-time series 52-12. However, Ole Miss has won 2 of the last 3 series. First meeting for these two since 2023, as Uchenyo throws it in there at 52 miles an hour.
There was her off speed and a fantastic job by Brady framing it up there for her. You wonder sometimes why we don't frame up enough, I think, behind the plate.
Why do you think they don't frame enough behind home plate? Kind of putting you on the spot here.
Honestly, I think it's a lack of focus, though. You have a job back there, especially without there are no runners on.
I can see it.
There's no reason to be antsy. You don't have to move quickly. You don't have to get the ball back to her. If anything, you sit longer almost. You ask the umpire, kindly, where did that miss, or how far off was she, just to kind of give her some direction as you lead into the next inning.
Bat continues for Fiedler. Now 2-2. Fiedler leads the SEC in triples. She has 7 this year. 4th in the country. Doesn't chase much, now 3-2.
Selective at bats. You argue, though, for Tennessee, you might want to be a little less selective.
The payoff. It's laced through the right side hole. 2-out single for Fiedler. Second hit tonight for Tennessee. And that brings up the oh-so-dangerous Taylor Panel. Singled back in the first inning. She leads the Lady Vols in 9 offensive categories. I could list them all, but you might get sick of me talking. She's having the best year of her career, too, at the plate. Her average this year is 155 points higher this year than last year.
How does one do that?
Should ask her.
Right. You know what was worked on in preseason, in fall ball.
She mentioned her confidence this year is just through the roof. In fact, she hit better last year in SEC play than in the non-conference. Nothing against the non-conference. It's supposed to be a little easier than SEC play. She really locked in last year.
She's really showing up this year, too, to be a true captain, you know, I think, for this team, and a nice leadership role model, I think, for the rest of the girls to look up after.
Well, Machenio has her in a 3-0 count after getting the first 2 outs to begin this third. Ball 4. Oh, strike 1.
It was a little late to call that.
I was in agreement with Panel. I thought that was a little up and in. Jill Poole's opinion is the only one that matters.
Tonight.
And of course, Panel has to swing at it because it was just called the strike.
Right. Even though she knows, here we are talking to the home plate umpire. Is that the same one? Is that the same pitch?
But as a pitcher, you're going to abuse that, right?
Absolutely. You abuse it. Use it and abuse it.
Take anything you can get, especially with runners on base, right?
Yeah.
Payoff pitch to Panel.
You also want to be careful here, though. It's only a 3-run lead.
She yanks that high and foul to the parking lot. You mentioned being careful. There's an example.
She just told you why. But I think Muchenia does a pretty good job of answering back with the same pitches. Not exactly in the same spot, but does a fantastic job at moving them, even just, if it's by a centimeter.
Fights it off. Foul. Panel has a career best 14 homers this year. 52 RBIs as well. Now 1 hit away from 60 hits in a season. 10 doubles. I mean, she has just been an offensive machine for Karen Weekly this season.
A wave you hope that she rides well into the postseason.
Drives this deep to right. Boutte is back in the ballpark, holds Panel. 3-0, Ole Miss on top of Tennessee as we head to the home half of the third.
2 pitchers to help throughout the postseason.
Absolutely. There, Boutte, hard chopper to shortstop, and Mealer takes care of Boutte, who's now 0 for 2 today against her former team. And Ole Miss, too, in that second inning, they scored those 3 runs off with just 1 hit. Mackenzie Pickens for Ole Miss got the lone hit in that inning. Carlin Pickens hit Percy Yamas, then walked Lexi Brady, and then allowed the single. Kind of shades a little bit from that Clemson game earlier this week where it was just, Carlin Pickens had 1 rough inning, but she bounced back against the Tigers earlier this week, but we're not seeing that here tonight.
You expect that Karen Weekly is not going to probably give her much of an opportunity to have to bounce back, especially with a 3-game series like this.
Aaliyah Binford at the plate. Struck out back in the first inning. And swings and misses at 61. Newer did pitch at Texas a couple of weekends ago, through 2 innings, allowed 5 hits and 3 earned runs. And Binford a little bloop to second base. Mealer takes care of Binford. That brings up one of Ole Miss's freshmen, Percy Llamas. And a pretty different look, too, from Carlin Pickens to Newer, right, Carly? I mean, it's
a hard shift change here, especially with the speed. You know, you're going to see a lot more spins, a lot more movement from 33. And Pickens, you're just going to see, I mean, you are going to see just as much spin. She's got a lot of spin. She's got a lot of moving balls that move in a lot of different areas. But you're definitely going to have to slow your bat speeds down here.
Right back to her. Boy, the freshman just made that third inning look easy. Saw the minimum 3 batters, 2 groundouts and a bloop out. Ole Miss is on top 3-0. That's what she's done to this Tennessee program.
You're talking about answering that phone. I mean, I don't think you don't take that conversation by any means.
Obviously, Karen Weekly, her husband Ralph, also were co-head coaches until 2022. Ralph stepping away. Karen takes over solely in 2022. 2 legends in their own right. McKenna Gibson at the plate as a 1-1 count. Ralph is parading around here as well. We saw him today. He's in high spirits, moving around and saying hi to everybody, introducing himself. It's like, man, I wish I had that. I hope I had to have that much energy when I'm Ralph Weekly's age. I really do.
I hope so.
Gibson takes upstairs 2-1.
Looks like he's enjoying retired life, but still gets to enjoy it here on the field.
Yeah, still gets to watch softball. Although I wonder, we'll talk to him maybe. Is it harder to be a spectator or harder to be the coach? I don't know. We'll get his perspective at some point. And Gibson with a hard shot but foul. 2-2. Two-time All-SEC first-teamer in the last 2 years, Gibson. Preseason All-SEC coming into this year as well. NFCA second-team All-American back in 2023. Super impressive player. We're being told that last foul ball by Gibson broke the light over on the right side.
What are the odds?
It's a brand new $32 million stadium. Not sure what insurance covers these days, but.
Well, I hope it's enough to fix a light.
You never know. Two from Ucheno. Swing and a miss. Ucheno's first strikeout tonight.
And there she is with that off speed again, and she didn't even touch it. I mean, the hard part is when you see it coming in, you think it's going to be a screwball. It could be a curveball, and by the time you're already done swinging, it still has not even gotten to the plate just yet. I mean, that nearly hit the ground. That was a fantastic pitch by Ucheno.
Ucheno's 156th strikeout this season. I should say 160th, excuse me. Now 6 away from Molly Jacobson for 5th most in a single season at Ole Miss. Sophia Nugent is ahead 2-0.
As a pitcher, you want that pitch. I don't know where that misses outside of it just being a right-handed hitter. She's been painting that side of the plate the majority of this evening and has, for the most part, either gotten swings or it's been called.
Where does your mind go when you throw that pitch, right? You've gotten it in the past, and now the ump's not giving it to you. Where does your mind go?
I'm going to tell you 2 things. Yeah, like, your coach is going to tell you, 1, not to visibly look upset. By any means, don't let it shake you, And then 2, you don't want to show frustration to your home plate umpire.
Nugent fouls it off.
At all costs, she's my best friend.
The home plate umpire?
Absolutely.
Until she's not.
Until she's not. Which you expect your coach or your catcher to handle for you.
Tell you what, these Lady Vols,
They swing hard. They swing very, very hard. Here's Nugent telling herself to wait on it, to sit back. She knows it's coming.
the changeup.
Absolutely. You know, she just had that moment where she shook her hands, telling herself to calm down, slow down, wait on it, it's coming.
2 quick outs for the Lady Vols here in this 4th inning. They do have 2 hits. Ole Miss only has 1 hit tonight, and they've scored 3 runs. And up comes Gabby Leach. Who is now back in this game. She reached in her last at bat on a leadoff walk. And then Zoe Schuler pinch ran for Leach in that 2nd inning. And a key inning, too, for both of these teams. Because Schuler, on what would have been a single by Ella Dodge, reached 3rd base. Tennessee had runners on the corners and nobody out. Fly ball lifted to center. And in comes Taylor Malvin. She makes the catch, and Tennessee goes in order for a 2nd time tonight.
Play on just yet, and watching these girls come out here and give up numbers like that is outstanding.
$32 million facility that was being constructed during the season last year as Brady loops this into left center. And a leadoff single for the 4-year returner for Ole Miss. 2nd hit tonight, too, for the Rebels. Looked like something in on the hands, Carly, that she just muscles to the gap.
She was just able to push almost over the shortstop, you know, but not far enough to hit the warning track.
Mackenzie Pickens for Ole Miss, freshman, takes the first pitch strike from Aaron Newer inside the circle for Tennessee. Came in the 3rd inning, saw the minimum. Ole Miss put the bat on the ball each time, but a ground out, bloop out, and another ground out ended the inning. So 2 freshmen going toe-to-toe here. Mackenzie Pickens, who has the 5th highest average on Ole Miss's roster. 341 coming into this at-bat. Wanted that one. Upstairs, strike 3.
That was amazing. I'm honestly not even sure what pitch that was. That had so much movement on it. It looked like it started on the outside of the plate, came inside, and then by the time you knew it, it was behind her. That was an amazing pitch.
That's just a freshman inside the circle, too. I mean, your jaw is to the floor. I can see it. Ashton Lansdale comes up.
She turned around, too, like she knew exactly what she was doing. That was an amazing pitch. I mean, it could have been a backdoor.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm like, it's not one I ever threw.
Hey, if you don't know, then I definitely don't know.
There it is.
Lansdale takes the strike, 1-1. But Newer already has a no-hitter under her belt this year. She threw one against Bethune-Cookman back in early February in her first career start. She's got the stuff, clearly. 1-2 to Lansdale. She replaced Carlin Pickens, who had a pretty rocky 2nd inning. Allowed 2 free passes and also a single that led to 3 runs for Ole Miss in the 2nd.
There's where velocity will hurt you. You know, it's not always about how fast you can pitch, but about where you can move it, how it moves.
Like that.
Exactly.
Back.
You know, you wonder why they didn't start her first. I mean, given the situations, you know, I guess there's no way of ever really telling who's going to do well against whom, you know, but
back-to-back strikeouts, 2 for Newer. Angelina De Leon steps up, fielder's choice back in the 2nd, brought in a run. Look at that, too, for Newer. 7 batters faced, 6 first pitch strikes.
that was a nice adjustment watching her lay off of that because she's been literally getting that swung at almost every time she's thrown it. And you wonder how she learned that. I mean, you know, you have pitching coaches and stuff. I mean, but there's small curriculums, things to look at.
You mean Newer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic pitch. And truthfully, I mean, it's exciting to see now and where it'll be in 4 years from now.
One, two, hack and miss. A leadoff single to begin this fourth inning, and Aaron Newer cased the next three. The Lady Vols, their fans, they travel well too. A lot of people at the ballpark tonight on this Friday in Oxford. Also double-decker going on too in Oxford.
That's right, the huge art and music festival that we host every year.
It's a jam-packed weekend in Oxford as Ella Dodge leads off. This fifth inning, her second at bat tonight. Bounces this to Pickens. And the freshman second baseman takes care of Ella Dodge. We got to go back to that second inning for Tennessee. Gabby Leach reached on a leadoff walk. Her pinch runner, Zoe Schuler, took over for her on the base pass, and Ella Dodge had what was a single at the time to put runners on the corners for Tennessee, but Schuler left first base early. Jamie Traxel challenged that Schuler left first base early, so what was nobody out, two on the corners became one down, nobody on, and then eventually 2 outs and nobody on. So Angelina De Leon takes care of Laura Mueller. 2 quick outs for Miley Wichenio here in this fifth inning, but that was a real momentum killer early for the Lady Vols.
I think it's been a very different latter half of the game. The first 2 innings, I think, took both teams a second to kind of settle in, to really settle down, get the game flowing in their own momentum. And then, you know, the last 2.5 innings or so, it's been a lot of quick ball, a lot of simple ball. Hitters aren't getting as deep in the count, which means I think that the pitchers are starting to figure out the strike zone a little bit more, which you expect to see, you know, this deep in the game, this late.
This is Alana Leach, 0 for 1 tonight, ground out to third. It's a Lady Vols team that had to battle from behind against Clemson earlier this week. They lost in extras in 9 innings, 4-3 at home. And a check swing, foul ball. 1-1 to Leach. Another thing too about Tennessee, their pitching is so good. Lead the SEC and the nation with an ERA of 170. It's just their hitting though at times, that's as a team, yeah. But then the hitting at times is a little more behind. Against the SEC, Tennessee's hitting just 243, that's 13th. 13 out of 15 in the SEC.
I think a large part that plays a big factor in that is that a lot of their lefties, there's not a lot of small ball going on here. There's not a lot of, you're not seeing a lot of slappers from their lefties. Their lefties are standing in the box, you know, swinging away for power. I think you might see a little bit more production if you had a little bit more small ball coming from the box. And right now, you can't argue that Karen Weekly may not also agree.
Three-1 to Leach. Called strike 2.
And that was a beautiful pitch, really utilizing the outside of that plate. And here comes Karen Weekly. Unhappy about that.
Unhappy with Jill Poole behind home plate.
She's been getting that call, though. It's just not been on a lefty. It's usually on that inside corner.
Late check swing, Leach got a piece of it.
Just fighting to stay alive right now. Anything that comes anywhere close to a strike right now, she knows that Karen Weekly is not going to be happy with her if she goes down. This is that 2-out production she was talking about. She wants to see more of it.
Pops her up behind home plate. Lexi Brady makes the squeeze. Miley Wichenio has retired the last 7 batters.
Full opportunity at each game.
Taylor Malvin leads off this 5th inning for Ole Miss, and I say that like it's a bad thing, right? Tennessee's still the top-ranked team in the country in 2 of the 4 softball polls.
Yes.
37 wins this year, 12 wins in conference play. They're doing a lot right, and
not a whole lot wrong.
not a whole lot wrong. You're right. Ole Miss has a 3-0 lead, looking for its first win against the #1 team in the country since 2017 when they took down #1 Florida in the SEC tournament. That was before Jamie Traxel's time in Oxford. Actually, in that 2017 years when Ole Miss won the SEC tournament.
Thắng không để xem nào. Ui, đây còn đầy mồm thế mà đòi bắp. Ăn hết đi rồi bị cho. Ăn hết đi rồi bắp. Đây mình cho Tần. Đây cho Tần.
It's the third time ever that the top-ranked team in the country has visited Ole Miss in Oxford. Florida was the last #1 to come to Oxford back in 2009. Ball for to Malvin. The first free pass issued by Erin Newer since she came in to replace Carlin Pickens in the third. And granted, there are a lot of teams in the league when you think about it, so every other year, you see pretty much the same team back-to-back years and things flip. So there are a lot of, so that sounds shocking since 2009, but again, scheduling's a factor, a little bit of luck in that too.
Right.
Jaden Pone steps up 0 for 2 today on a 11-game hit streak. And Pone will have to take a breather for a second. Here comes Megan Rhodes-Smith. So Newer allows the free pass to begin this fifth. Carly, she's been fantastic since the third inning. I mean, these numbers are just, again, really good. She's limited Ole Miss's offense, limited the free passes, which got Carlin Pickens in trouble back in the second. And the stuff, you and I were harping about it during the break. For a freshman, she's got great stuff.
She's got great movement. I mean, like we said, as for a freshman too, and to come out today on a situation where, the series is a big series. Not that every series isn't big or large, I mean, but as we're breaching postseason, this is what you want to see from your freshmen. You want to see your freshmen want to get the ball, want to get out there and get those outs. I mean, she's had a fantastic outing from the moment she stepped in. I mean, truthfully, this is the first sign of struggle that you've seen.
Pone came into today hitting over 400 for Ole Miss. Led the team in batting average. And again, on a 11-game hit streak for the Rebels, longest so far, longest current streak for Ole Miss. She's actually had a hit streak of 10 or more games at least once in all 4 years of her collegiate career.
She is consistent.
Counts even, 2-2. Began her career at Longwood. She was the first Big South Player of the Year at Longwood in 8 seasons. On the ground to short, to second for 1. Pone beats out the throw to first. So Taylor Malvin's retired, and 1 away for Ole Miss in this 5th inning. That brings up the former Lady Vol, Lair Boutte. Spent 2 seasons at Tennessee, went to the Women's College World Series too with Tennessee back in 22. Then transferred to Houston last season. Now in her first year at Ole Miss. There's a good look at what Erin Newer can do from inside the circle.
The movement on that is just absolutely amazing. You wonder about the fundamentals that are taking place during the weekdays, you know what I mean? What fundamentals and what skills she's utilizing in order to get that ball to move that way. I mean, at 52 miles an hour, it's a hard second to see after watching Pickens for your first 2 innings.
We've seen Newer hit 70.
But I don't think she's relying a lot on her speed at all, to be completely honest with you. I don't think that plays a factor. Every girl wants to throw hard. Yeah, that's part of it, But I think once you get to college, you find that coaches utilize your best skills. You start out almost as a freshman just kind of throwing the ball. You've played in experienced games before against girls, you either played in travel ball with.
Hopper to first base. Boutte's retired. Gibson steps on first, 2 away. And Pone moves up to second. Anyway, you were saying, freshmen go in the circle and throw it, right? They don't really locate it as much.
Exactly. You know, I mean, and right now is a prime example. Here she is coming up against Binford, who's, 6 years with experience. 6 years of this experience coming from an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? Who wants it?
Chance for Binford to add to Ole Miss's 3-0 lead. Rebels scored 3 runs off 2 free passes, an RBI single, fielder's choice, and also some small ball. Called strike to Binford, 1-1. Ole Miss's leader in doubles and triples. Also, leader with 2 saves inside the circle. A little out in front of this, 1-2.
Looking for something to, hopefully push through the infield, especially with 2 outs, to at least get her on and maybe, move the runner to third and put him in a corner situation.
Swings and misses. Strike 3. 4 strikeouts for Erin Newer since she came in. This is, without a doubt, I think, the largest the loudest that the crowd has been since the new softball stadium was built here in Oxford. Savia Morgan leads off. Small ball. The throw to first. Not in time. Morgan beats out the throw. Maybe that's what Tennessee needs to mount a comeback down 3-0.
You wonder if Jamie might challenge that.
It was close. But nobody out from Ole Miss's third base dugout, so we play on. Top of the order at the plate, and Kinsey Fiedler. Single today, that was in her last at bat. Got to look out for Savia Morgan.
Yeah.
On the base paths, too. She's stolen 23 bases. That's 5th in the SEC. She's just a freshman. Kinsey Fiedler calls Savia Morgan Mini-Me. To the gap, right center. Down for a base hit, gets all the way to the wall. Morgan hits third. She's on her way home. She scores. Tennessee's on the board. Kinsey Fiedler with her 8th triple this season.
I mean, what phenomenal execution there. She absolutely gets a hold of that and takes it deep. It's not 2-out production, but it's production for Karen Weekly.
Now the Lady Vols fans in attendance have something to get behind for with this team, and this is, I mean, she was thinking 3 the whole way, I think, wasn't she?
Absolutely, just in the gap.
Taylor Panel at the plate. 3rd year Lady Vol. 1 for 2 today, single back in the 1st inning. She has shined in big moments a lot this season for Tennessee. And another big spot here. And Karen Weekly says it's because she asks questions. She's always trying to learn, keep herself focused on the game and not on her emotions. Emotions are a big part of this beautiful game.
It's one of the most important parts. Not letting your emotions get the best of you, knowing when to use them, when you can't.
Fly ball to left, down the line, plenty deep.
She'll tag.
For Fiedler, makes the catch, she tags, and Tennessee's down 1. RBI triple, sac fly ribby. Lady Vols are in business here in the 6th. Never count out Karen Weekly's crew. A couple innings ago, Coach Weekly was fired up. She had her team huddled around her. You can hear her from up in the press box.
I was about to say, I think we were in the middle of that huddle. You imagine that your coach tells you in that moment, it's time to settle in. You need to put a product up on the board. You can't win a game if you don't score at all. So regardless of how much their pitching staff may not give up, you know, you can't win a game if you don't score a single run. And I think that's part of the conversation she was having with her team. How important it is to start this game, especially on a Friday. You want to come out and you want to win. You want to win every day, but Fridays are the best day to win.
Gibson smokes it up the middle, backhanded by Pickens. Low throw, she makes the play. The freshman second baseman staying composed. 2 away for Tennessee in this 6th inning.
I feel like we're starting to see a little bit more of this Tennessee team we saw in the very first and second inning, where they had a lot more contact on the ball.
What's this conversation about between freshman pitcher and 4th-year catcher?
You have an absolute problem coming up to the plate right now. Be careful.
The problem is Sophia Nugent, 0 for 2 tonight.
She is just a force at the plate, both offensively and defensively. She is just, I think, a well-rounded player. You know, with the help of Karen Weekly.
Nugent's 0 for 2 tonight. Pop out, fly out. Hitting .301 this year. .11 homers. Back-to-back seasons, 2 for her with double-figure homers. However, not hitting as well in SEC play. Nugent hitting .240. However, she does have the second most RBIs and homers for the Lady Vols in conference play. 14 ribbies against the SEC, 4 homers. Chenio's really trying inside, but she's missed.
I don't know how much I feel like I think that one may have missed more than it is who's up to bat. There's a lot of movement going on. Her toes are on top of the line. You almost beg the question here if she has to back up. Give her more room, you know, but she's here to take the plate.
A 2-out walk. Tying runs aboard in this 6th inning. Second walk today for Miley Wachenio. Now 12 pitches here in this 6th inning. She really had I want to say easy 4th and 5th, but she looked locked in.
She did. I mean, and I don't think that she's not locked in here. You know, I think the girls are just making adjustments as you expect the #1 team in the country to do. They're going to hit good pitches. It's not just about her game and whether she's on or whether she's off. Sometimes some of the best games you have are when you're off because it's not what they're used to seeing. It's not what their scouting reports say. You know, but you're proud of this freshman watching her come out there.
Amanda Allen, coming into pinch run for Nugent. And Allen's on the move to second base to throw down. She just gets in there. Huge stolen base and with 2 outs.
You expect a challenge here on that, absolutely. It looks like that runner may or may not have left early, but I imagine that's exactly the question that Jamie is now asking the umpires.
Rolling on the field is that the runner left on time at first base. Ole Miss is challenging the runner left early on the pitch with their second review. Plays under further review.
So we'll get another look at this. Zoe Schuler back in the 2nd inning, left early on a hit and run.
Both challenges come from pinch runners being put in the game in opportune moments.
There's a look at the play, and this is our Hawkeye video review system. Look where Allen's foot leaves the bag and whether or not Wachenio still has the softball in her hand. I think it's
a tough call.
This one's harder than the 2nd inning when Schuler left first base. And again, back in the 2nd.
I feel like right here you almost see that foot come up and the ball is still not left her hand completely.
Looks like Matt Dial has our call. Franklin is safe.
I mean, those are always the toughest challenges to make. You know, do you waste a challenge on something small? But how small is it when you're only a one-run game difference?
Ole Miss has one challenge remaining. So Miley Wichenio has to face Gabby Leach with the tying run on second base. Gabby Leach tied the game against Clemson earlier this week.
Maybe looking to do the same here.
Nancy Evans out to have a chat with her freshman pitcher, Miley Wichenio. What's this conversation about, you think?
Making sure that runner on second doesn't get any closer to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and where does she feel? Where is she at right here? Do you think you have another inning and a half left in you? Or 4 more outs? That's all she needs is 4 more outs. Now, how you get there is going to depend on how she feels, what skill they're using. But I also think that Ole Miss, from both teams, I think I've seen a fantastic pitch call game. I think that they've kept both hitters off of the plate by not giving them the consistency of the same thing over and over and over again. And I think that that's partly what you've seen evolve with pitchers is that they're quicker and they're better, they're faster, they're slower. And when you have a majority, it's loud here.
Tennessee fans traveled to Oxford tonight. You hear both fan bases, and now Jamie Traxel wants to chat with Jill Poole, the home plate umpire. Here you see some Tennessee orange.
Making a change here, maybe?
Looks like Traxel might make a change. And she's going to a new pitcher. So Miley Wichenio is going to get replaced here in the 6th. Bree Lopez coming in for Ole Miss. And we'll tell you about Lopez when we come back from this break. 3-2 ball game, tying run on second base for Tennessee. 17 games between early March and early April. She's also earned 3 wins in her last 4 outings. She's struck out 65 batters.
There's that backdoor curve that she's hammering this year.
You don't see a lot of emotion from Lopez. Cool, calm, and collected at all times.
Assignment is understood.
Gabby Leach at the plate. She had the game-tying RBI single against Clemson earlier this week that forced extra innings. However, Clemson took down the Lady Vols in 9 innings, 4-3. Looking to come up clutch here. She has a 2-2 count. Full count. And Leach goes down to first base. That's a walk. Lexi Brady celebrated like that was strike 3. Now runners on first and second base for Tennessee in this 6th. Back-to-back free passes, and now Leach comes off. Kate Taylor comes in for Tennessee to pinch run, or does she not? She went out to the first base bag, comes back. And now it's Bella Faw instead that'll go and pinch run. Runners on first and second base, 2 outs.
Here's that production that Karen's been asking for. She wants to see it more from her team and win better of an opportunity than right now.
Ella Dodge way out in front of it, 0 for 2 tonight. Had what would have been a single back in the second to put runners on the corners for Tennessee, but the pinch runner left early. She was brought back to the plate and grounded out. 0-2. Coach Weekly calls time to chat with Dodge. Feels like a postseason game. Crowd's into it.
It does. It's loud. It's energetic. Even has me a little anxious.
Ole Miss is looking for its 13th all-time win against Tennessee. The series dates back to 1997. The last time Ole Miss beat the #1 team in the nation was 2017. Took down Florida in the SEC tournament. Swung on and missed. Tennessee strands 2. Rebels grab the bats when we come back. And it starts with Percy Yamas for Ole Miss in the 6th against Aaron Newer. The freshman pitcher who has come out of the bullpen, replaced Carlin Pickens back in the 3rd. She's been stellar for Tennessee tonight, out of the pen.
She's really answered back for that Tennessee team. You know, I mean, Pickens has got to be a hard to follow. But whom better, you know, than to be a Sir underneath than Pickens as a freshman.
Yeah, and you thought maybe you'd see Sage Margetko out of the bullpen, but Friday night, you want to save Margetko probably for tomorrow or Sunday, whichever. Whatever the game plan may be. Don't want to just assume it's one day over the other. But Newer has come out and allowed just 1 hit so far. She's only walked 1 and has struck out 4. And Yamas takes a hack. Make it 5 Ks for the freshman now. And Percy Yamas doesn't strike out. That's just the 6th time this year that the freshman has struck out at the plate.
From a freshman, you know, with moving. I mean, look at her. It says it in her face there. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to hit it. I don't know how to put my bat on it.
That one bounces across home plate for Lexi Brady. She's the only Rebel to have a hit off Newer since she came in the 3rd inning. Brady just the 2nd 4-year returner for Ole Miss this season, her and Angelina De Leon. Fouls it off. Trying to enjoy her final 3 games at home as an Ole Miss Rebel. Senior weekend for her and plenty of others. Means more to her though because she's been here 4 years. She's been with Jamie Traxel since Coach Traxel was head coach at Minnesota. Coach Traxel recruited Lexi Brady to Minnesota, and then Coach Traxel came to the SEC. Lexi Brady says, hey, I'm coming with you. And 32 homers, 108 hits, and 103 RBIs later, here's Lexi Brady in year 4.
I think she's fitting in pretty well with the SEC.
Also tying Ole Miss's single season home runs record at Georgia, hit her 15th. Down the left field line for Brady, but foul. She had one a little closer to the left field foul pole earlier on this game, back in the 2nd. Shades of Carlton Fisk back in the day, saying, trying to push it fair. She went down the first base line, but failed. She works the walk. Second walk in this outing for Newer, who as a freshman already has a no-hitter under her belt in her first collegiate career through a no-no against Bethune-Cookman. Joins the legendary Monica Abbott as the only Lady Vol to accomplish the feat in their first collegiate outing. So Taylor Strain comes in to pinch run. Strain also in her final year of college softball. Spent the first 3 years of her career at Baylor. Her and Aaliyah Binford coming over from Waco. However, at different times, Taylor Strain came first in the summer. Aaliyah Binford came at the end of the fall semester. So Mackenzie Pickens steps in for Ole Miss. Inside jam job back to Newer. They go to second for one, first for two. It's dropped by Gibson. A low throw, but that retires Strain at second base, and Pickens is aboard with the fielder's choice. Two outs in the inning. And Ole Miss looks to get some two-out production from Ashton Lansdell, who has struck out twice tonight. She's been on a tear in her last 4 games. She's Ole Miss's hottest hitter.
You mentioned earlier that she'd been playing in the outfield a little bit, even though she had started, predominantly through the infield, and is now getting that opportunity. Now you know why. You start to find that a lot of times in the latter half of the season, you see girls really just want to show up. Girls that, see that other girls are starting to falter. As the season goes on, you start to get more tired, and that becomes more and more mindful of opportunities for the younger girls to get in there and maybe see an at-bat, get on base, and use the opportunities you've got.
You saw her season numbers. They don't look like much, but in the last 4 games, she's had that opportunity, like you said, to make a name for herself and contribute. She's 5 for 10 at the plate with 10 RBIs and 4 homers. Runners on the move. Pickens headfirst dive into second base. The softball caromed all the way around to Ole Miss's third base dugout. So Pickens is in scoring position for Lansdell. Yes, you're on top if you're Ole Miss, but man, you could really use an insurance run to make it all that tougher against a Tennessee team that feels like offensively they've found something in the last inning.
Really all the field is at the runner left first base on time.
No,
Tennessee is challenging the call that she left early. This play is under further review.
So they're going to see Pickens left early.
A challenge from Tennessee now.
Their first of the day. All 3 of our challenges tonight have been whether or not the runner left first base early. And wow. That is as clear as day.
After further review, the ruling of the field has been changed. The runner left early. Foul.
A massive third out for the Lady Vols. They look to tie it up with their final 3 outs coming in the top half of the 7th inning. '97, and your first series win against that team was in 2009. This series has been dominated by Tennessee.
That's, decades, truthfully. What a fantastic opportunity on a brand new field here at home for Jamie to do with the Ole Miss Rebels here tonight.
Bree Lopez inside the circle for Ole Miss. Came out of the bullpen to replace Miley Wichenio, who allowed the 2 runs to Tennessee in the 6th. They got that 6th inning going on a single and an RBI triple from Kinsey Fiedler, then a sac fly RBI for Taylor Panel. Got Tennessee on the board last inning. And in this 7th, the 7, 8, 9 hitters are coming up. Just 1 hit between the 3 of them. Savia Morgan hitting 9th in this lineup has the lone hit between the bottom 3 in the order for Tennessee. Bree Lopez in a save situation. This would be her first on the season. She had 3 last year for Ole Miss, and she faces Laura Mueller to start. From a pitcher's perspective, big spot here. What's going through your mind?
She has one job to do here, and that's 3 up and 3 down. You know, you've got to be thankful that you have the lead that you have, that you're not tied up here in a situation that could, you know, lead to later innings. You said it earlier, she's calm, cool, and collected, though. You know, she's a senior. She's been in this opportunity before. This is nothing new to her. As a senior, when you're at the latter part of your career, this is what you want. You want these really close games with.
You want those moments, but you don't want them, the leadoff hitter specifically, the tying run, to have a 3-0 count.
Now you've got to rely on planting the plate.
Mueller today with 2 ground outs. One to first, the other to short. Check swing, did she go? She did not. Emerus Addison says that Mueller held up. Tying runs aboard for the Lady Vols, and nobody out.
Looks like she's found herself in a little situation here. You know, but you have your third baseman coming up to you telling you, calm down, we've got you, we've got this. She's not out here by herself, she's not alone.
Now Katie Taylor coming in to pinch run for Mueller. Third pinch runner of the day for Tennessee. And we will still see Alana Leach at the plate, 0 for 2 today. Alana Leach, 7 for 22 at the plate coming into tonight.
She does sneak.
And I think that's her one job at the plate too, trying to move over Taylor.
With no outs. Coach Weekly has absolutely told her she has one job to do here, and that's to move the runner to second.
Lays it down. That hit her while she was in the box. Foul. So now 0-2. Got to swing away here. I guess you don't have to, but you probably should.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Weekly truthfully throw a sack here. Simple ball, you know. Back to the fundamentals, back to the basics. Move the runner over.
Swing and a miss. Second K of the night for Brie Lopez. And she gets that first out here in the 7th. Amaya Doyle coming in to pinch hit for Tennessee. And for Savia Morgan, for now at least, who had a single in her last at bat that led off the 6th inning. Tying run aboard for Tennessee. Down to their final 2 outs in game 1 of our 3-game series in Oxford. Doyle's 8 for 53 at the plate this season. Managed to get on D1 Softball's top 100 freshman list coming into the season. Also Softball America's freshman watch list. Took a hack. 1-2. Top of the order on deck. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks for Brie Lopez. Tennessee's down to its final out.
That's a fantastic outing right here by Bri Lopez, too, to be able to kind of come back in this last inning with a little influx of some base runners on. Shows the experienced senior she is.
Kinsey Fiedler, who had the RBI triple last inning, takes the first pitch strike.
She is on right now, too. She is just painting her spots right here.
Ole Miss looking for just its 13th win all-time against Tennessee and its first win against the #1 team in the nation since 2017. She showed bunt, but they say she pulled back in time. Amaris Addison said Fiedler came back in time.
I'd imagine a challenge here.
What do we think?
I'd imagine here a challenge. Maybe not. We're not going to come out for it.
Checked her swing again, and this time Jill Poole says Fiedler went around. And Lopez is one strike away.
It's loud here in Oxford.
Line drive into right. Taylor stops at second base. The tying run moves up into scoring position. Fiedler has 3 hits now today. And now that brings up you know who, Taylor Panel.
Do they intentionally walk her like they did against Georgia or in the Georgia series, you know? I mean, she was put on base three to 4 times, I think, that weekend. You know, you talk about a kid being hungry. This one wants to eat.
Do you want the tying run, though, at third base? This is a player that leads Tennessee in 9 offensive categories. Takes the first pitch strike. She's 6th in the SEC in batting average, 5th in hits, top 10 in homers.
Bri Lopez is going to go right at her.
Down to her final strike. Foul ball, and Panel stays alive. One. What a resume building win for those Rebels.
What an opportunity to come out here today on a Friday. You know, given the rain delay, kind of throws a wrench in things, but this Ole Miss team, you couldn't have told that today. They showed up and showed out. What a fantastic, fantastic game of softball.